Hello and welcome to the Center for Victory podcast of Your Best Day Yet. Here at Center for Victory, we're here to help unlock, reinforce, and enrich relationships through personal and professional development. My name's Zack DelTurco. I'm an executive consultant here at the Center for Victory, and we have Corey back for part 2. And in the month of February, we're talking about getting your heart right. And today we're going to specifically be talking about appreciation.
Yeah.
So, why this topic? What is it about appreciation that you wanted to talk about in regards to getting your heart right?
So let me pose a question to you. When you're out in public, have you ever observed how people interact with one another? I mean, for example, when was the last time someone said thank you to you? Do you remember? Have you experienced that recently? Like maybe in a restaurant, or has anybody ever, when was the last time you saw somebody hold a door for someone? Have you experienced
Last night.
That? You did? Where was that?
At dinner.
At dinner, so
Yeah.
You saw somebody hold the door. I mean, we need appreciation, more appreciation in our relationships, and we need more appreciation with people we don't know, right? But when you think about what we do in the workplace, things like showing appreciation for the people on our team, oftentimes that comes in the form of a gift card, right? You did something nice, let me give you a gift card, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about that and why that's not necessarily the most effective route. But appreciation in our relationships is paramount. Things like saying thank you, things like saying I'm sorry, all right? They're very powerful, yet often overlooked. So, I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I would say like even that last thing that you said about I'm sorry, I think that could be the most powerful 2 words in our vocabulary. Because I just remember a time where a leader that I looked up to, he never apologized when I approached him about something.
Yeah.
And what he told me is, well, take that into your next season of leadership and let that be a learning lesson. When all I wanted was, you know what, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I am sorry, I am sorry, I am sorry. So when we're talking about appreciation, obviously vocabulary and words play a huge part. So how do you prepare to communicate?
Well, I think when you think about preparing to communicate, I think one of the first things we have to recognize is that we all tend to communicate differently, right? Some of us that are more on the extroverted side communicate one way. Some of us who tend towards the introverted side maybe communicate a different way. But there's one commonality there that regardless of how we talk or how we write, appreciation is almost like glue, or it's that go-between that it doesn't matter. Like if we're showing appreciation, we're showing vulnerability like we've talked about before, but we're also actually saying, hey, listen, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the fact that you are here if somebody's visiting you, right? I appreciate your effort, right? Think about a supervisor to direct report relationship. Sometimes it's just expected, right? What if you not only said thank you, but here's an idea, something I talk about very frequently. What if you wrote a thank you, right? And I don't mean an email, and I don't mean a text message.
You mean those that paper that folds?
That piece of paper, you might know it as an envelope,
Yeah.
right? Most people get those in their mailbox. They contain bills, right? But imagine if you walked out to your mailbox and you saw a handwritten card in it where someone took their time, their money, their energy, and their effort and thanked you for a specific thing. And that thing could be something small. Maybe it's something big. But the reality behind it is they expressed it in a way that we've almost forgotten, right? Again, talking about some of the students I've had the opportunity to work with, we talk about going in to a job interview. Okay? How hard is it with the information we have available to go to the website, find the address, you already know the name of the person, go to the dollar store or some other store, spend $2 or $3, handwrite a note, and send it to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're a direct report, working in an organization, my wife's company, her direct reports must write thank you notes. Or excuse me, her supervisors must write thank you notes to their direct reports. It's a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the question I have is if you were on the receiving end of a thank you note, and again, it can be a text message if you want, or it could be an email, but how do you think you would feel if you received a thank you note from someone?
Yeah. I feel like the word thank you, it does something to your body. Like it almost releases endorphins. Like, wow, someone sees me, somebody hears me, somebody appreciates me. So, it's probably been a while since I actually have gotten a card.
Yeah.
That is just a thank you.
You probably got plenty of bills.
I do have plenty of bills. The older I get, the more bills. I'm like, man, why am I getting all these bills? And it's interesting that you bring that thought up because, yesterday I was on a call with a CEO in Cleveland, over 500 employees, and our time got rescheduled twice already. And we had 10 minutes, which was a lot for him. And I literally wrote him a thank you card.
Yeah.
Part of it is I want to do business with him because I think we can help his organization. But just like, man, he took 10 minutes out of his day, which for a lot of us, that's probably not a big deal. But to take the time to look over what we provide from a employee standpoint, how we can help maximize and optimize their talent. So I'll let you know how that
I hope so.
goes.
So this month we're talking about leadership, but we're actually recording this video for getting your heart right. But sometimes what we call this law of reciprocity, you probably heard of that a few times before, by demonstrating a behavior, to someone that maybe we're trying to influence, whether it's a direct report or someone we're mentoring or coaching, by demonstrating a behavior first, we call that leadership, right? Mm-hmm. It actually, by demonstrating, it creates influence, right? So we demonstrate it to someone, and if they're paying attention, which we hope they are, we want them to repeat that behavior. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this concept of leading ourselves first is paramount in preparing to communicate and showing appreciation, right? Because it's easy to get caught up in, the emails and the throes of life, and next thing you know, weeks have gone by. You pass these people in the halls, maybe you pass them, elsewhere, restaurants, whatever, and we forget that to acknowledge and to celebrate the people who are most important to us.
So talk a little bit about that word thank you. Why do you think that word thank you is so important?
Well, I mean, I think, thank you, and I think it should be thank you for in a specific event, right? Because sometimes we can say that general thank you, right? And that's good. But if someone's done something specific, thank you. If a friend of mine helped me recently on a project that I'm working on, a building construction project, and I really said, it wasn't easy for me to ask you for help because I'm somebody that it's hard. That's not easy for me to do. But at the end of it, I took him and his wife to dinner, and I bought him a gift, and I said, thank you very much for helping me with this project. I couldn't have done it without you, right? So the power in those two words, first of all, it's acknowledging that person. It's acknowledging them as a human being. It's acknowledging maybe the act or acts that they've done, and it's a connector. It's a relationship connector for people and I challenge you, the next time you're out in public, hold the door for somebody, all right? 9 out of 10 times that person that you're holding the door for is going to smile. Sometimes they jump because they're not used to it.
I'm going to do that tonight.
Yeah,
I'm going to play fitness.
But sometimes they jump because maybe they think, they don't know you, maybe, but...
Or you're trying to hit on them.
But it's an act of kindness. So we talk about it all the time, random act of kindness, but can you show somebody that appreciation that you'd like to be on the receiving end of?
Yeah, so let me ask you this question. we talked about it earlier, but how can saying something as simple as this, I'm sorry, show appreciation to that individual?
Well, first of all, let's talk about some things that are pet peeves of mine, right?
Yeah.
I apologize is not the same as I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree.
So another thing, which is
I apologize, like, okay, yeah, like,
yeah.
I apologize, but I'm really not sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So
I'm
it's
probably going to do it again.
It's a way of dipping your toe in the water of knowing that you did something wrong, but really not admitting it,
Yeah.
right?
I apologize.
But
probably do it again.
But the other one that's a big pet peeve of mine is, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard that? You heard somebody say, well, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
So it says the words I'm sorry, but it's like you're like rubbing, you're
Like
poking somebody out.
like I'm sorry you feel that way. Like I'm sorry I offended you, but just like
It's your
almost,
problem,
yes,
not mine.
yeah,
It's your problem,
Yeah,
not mine,
yep.
right? So those two things are not apologies,
Yeah.
right? They're attempts, right? And maybe if you're somebody that doesn't say I'm sorry, maybe that could be like your progression towards saying those words, I'm sorry. But the funny thing about mistakes, small ones, big ones, when you go right at them, right? Think about a mistake you've made, maybe with a loved one. Maybe you snapped at someone because you were tired or whatever. When you go right at the mistake and you say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, it won't happen again. What does that do? First of all, it lets the person know that you are sorry. And secondly, the conversation tends to go away, right? The problem, it may not be forgotten, but it tends to not be a big deal. Right? Maybe you've experienced that. Have you experienced that at all?
Yeah, usually with my wife.
Well, I wasn't going to go there. But,
Usually that's an everyday occurrence.
But the thing with an apology, like I'm sorry, first of all, it has to be timely.
Yeah.
Right? You can't be, an apology anytime, I guess, is okay, but if you really want it to carry the most weight, have the most value, it should be timely, right? And it should be timely, and it should be specific, and you should mean it.
Should be measurable too.
Yeah, well, I didn't say smart. We're not doing a smart apology, but yeah, I think you understand what I'm getting toward, or trying to get at is that showing appreciation is also acknowledging that we're not perfect.
Yeah.
It's also acknowledging that if you value those people around you, that you're going to tell them that you're going to express to them when you make mistakes. We're not perfect as much as we like to think we are. We're not. And when we have an imperfect situation, go right at it. I'm sorry. If you're in a supervisory role, funny thing about demonstrating this, like I mentioned earlier, when you demonstrate it, there's a strong likelihood you're going to get it in return, right? But by you telling a direct report or a colleague or a peer that you're sorry is professional.
Yeah. Think about this. You ready? When you say I'm sorry, it might not change your heart, but it will change my heart.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And why be a prison to your own mistakes, right?
That's it.
So why not live free? So the best thing, honestly, it's probably because I've been hurt by this, that a leader didn't say sorry. I think the most powerful two words in the vocabulary is I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it's just because that's a pain point in my life. That's all I wanted, is for you to acknowledge that you were wrong.
Yeah. I did an exercise with a group of young adults, right? And I asked them to talk about their best leaders and their worst leaders, right? And the funny thing about the best leaders, they tended to be the leaders tended to be people that were in their lives most in more recent times, right? Because the instructions were you could go back, most of these young professionals were in their mid-20s, right? Now, so you go back as long as you want. It's so who's the best leader you've had and who's the worst leader you've had? So again, best leaders tended to be people in the past few years. Some of the worst leaders, like I had people talking about coaches they had in Little League. I had coaches like I had people in their lives that they were 7 or 8 and 9 years old, and these are 23, 24, 25-year-old, right?
Wow.
So the positive impacts in our lives were tended to be, generally speaking, in recent times, but they remember the negatives and the people who weren't appreciative and didn't show appreciation and who didn't show them the way. They remember that forever.
Yeah.
In vivid detail because they wrote about it.
That's good.
You know.
That's
So
good.
never pass up a chance to show appreciation, never pass up a chance to say thank you, and never pass up a chance to say I'm sorry and actually mean it.
So as we finish up today, what's like an action statement or action steps that someone can take from this podcast?
I think if there's somebody in your lives that maybe you owe a heartfelt apology to, let's make that happen.
That's a good first
Right.
step, yeah.
If you are someone who means well, right? Like you've been meaning to do this, it's time to do well, right? So if you're somebody that has a very busy schedule, maybe it's something as simple as building in time to write thank you notes or to show appreciation to people on your team or to show appreciation to your family and loved ones. You know, time it's a commodity, you know. Next thing you know, we're years have gone by.
Yep.
So never pass up a chance to do well. A lot of people mean well.
Yeah, to do well, that's good. I want to leave you guys with this quote from JFK. He said this: as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter just words, but to live by them.
Boom.
Do well, be well.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys so much for staying tuned to our podcast of Your Best Day Yet. Hit that subscribe button. Also hit that thumbs up if you like the video. You can also leave a comment in the section below. What does it mean to show appreciation to you? You can also visit our website at centerforvictory.com where you can learn about all of our resources and all the assessments that we do. And we always finish with those, and it's this quote: wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, make this your best day yet.